I want to just refute, not even refute, just give my own kind of take on one thing you said. You said the MAGA Republicans are more of a threat than the establishment Democrats at this point, or you said something along the lines of that. I don't want to take you out of context or misrepresent you, but I have actually, well, I guess it is a long time ago at this point. Time moves so fast. But I made an argument that I think the establishment Democrats are worse only in the sense that, yes, the Republicans are worse on immediate policy, but the establishment Democrats allow for those Republicans to even get in office in the first place. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, when you pass NAFTA, when you pass, the permanent normal trade relations with China, when you support those, and when you tried to implement TPP and you shipped everybody's jobs overseas, we do a lot of those kinds of neoliberal policies. The American people, out of sheer desperation, because things are just so crushing for them, they don't have a job, people died overseas, they're getting arrested left and right. We have a private prison industrial complex which makes money off of putting people in prison. You have like all of these crushing policies, and there's so many more. Even Joe Biden, who's in office right now, as far as like putting people in office, he was an architect of the 94 crime bill. When you have all these policies, it crushes the American people, and they turn out of desperation to somebody like Donald Trump, and they turn to Republicans, even on the culture war, when they feel they don't have any power in economics anymore, they kind of just like turn to the culture war. Then it becomes this just cultural war battle, which Republicans seem to win over some people on. And I know that they're wrong a majority of the time, but I think the establishment Democrats allow, and not only allow, but they even elevate. And in some cases, literally fund, like in Hillary Clinton's case, she literally propped up Donald Trump with the Pied Piper strategy. She helped Donald Trump to become the nominee because she thought he would be like the easy one to beat. And it's like, well, how did that work out? So I think when the establishment Democrats, they hold responsibility for Trump and the Republicans getting in office in the first place, then they kind of hold the responsibility for all the policies and all the disgusting, hateful policies that those Republicans pass. So I kind of see those kinds of Republicans in power as an extension of the establishment Democrats because they're responsible for them. Some cases indirectly, but even in some cases directly too, like I mentioned Hillary Clinton and many other Democrats use the Pied Piper strategy. You still think those Republicans and Donald Trump are worse than the establishment Democrats?
So to clarify, I do mean in regards to the immediate policy. If you look at the bills passed against transgender people, against drag queens, against the LGBTQ, every single one that I've seen has been submitted by a Republican. There have been Democrats.
No disagreement. Sorry, go ahead. I said, no disagreement here. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's what I meant when I said the MAGA Republicans at this point are more of a threat than the Democrat side. The corporate Democrats are absolutely just as much as a threat, if not more so. Any corporate bot politician is a threat. We are in time, like shifting away from the immediate policies, and then we can have the time to get the money out of politics. I hope we have to protect the American people immediately, and the immediate threat is the legislation being posed by the Republican Party right now against our constitutional freedoms. So that's what I meant by they're more dangerous currently than the Democrats.
Okay. The only thing I'd say is I think the money in politics issue would be the determining factor of what fixes those issues. I think that is the most immediate policy. I mean, not just because it does help those victimized communities that are being just viciously decimated by Republican legislation, but also just like something like climate change. If you want to win on climate change, then you have to outraise the oil companies, and you have to outraise like just actually any company that pollutes massive CO2 into the atmosphere that isn't regulated by a government. You'd have to outraise all of these massive industries in order to stop climate change, because I do think climate change is one of the biggest issues that we face. Personally, in my opinion, we have to treat it like a World War II level threat and deal with it immediately. But I think the only way to deal with any of those kind of policies is to root out the corruption first, or allows for those issues to become issues in the first place. But you think we should do a two-prong attack and try to immediately deal with those other issues as well as money in politics?
I think if we put all our eggs in one basket, we're all going to lose. Regardless, if we don't get people out of office that are posing an immediate threat, then they're going to continue harming us. And how can we fight the bigger fight if we're continually being harmed and fighting against this other stuff? We have to put a wall up. We have to put protections up so that we can focus on these issues. And I'm glad that you brought up the environment. Nestle is a huge contribution to that. They're taking over the spring waters, the oil pipelines going through indigenous lands, violating treaties. Biden, his corporate backing, that's why he approved the Willow Project. That's going through tribal land in Alaska, northern Alaska. It's going to decimate the environment up there. We do need to get these corporations out of our politics, but we also have to protect the American people currently, because we are dying. We are being targeted. The suicide rates are going up in states where the death rates, maternal death rates are going up in states where abortion has been made illegal. As people are forced to detransition from their transgender journey, they're going to start committing suicide again because they're going to get depressed. There's studies out there that show the treatment for depression for a transgender person is transitional treatment, because that's who they feel they are, and that's not a choice. There's different biological combinations for transgender people, and that's a whole nother discussion that we can get into one day. But our people are dying because of these policies being put in place. And if all our people are dead, then who are we going to fight for? We have to protect ourselves while doing this battle. It's offensive, defensive type of strategy that we need to develop. And I think we need to develop it together. It's not just one person's decision making that needs to happen. And that's what's supposed to be happening. Our government is supposed to be working with the people, and it's not. And that needs to change.